In January, the broad-leaved woodlands are often rather empty of birds, except for small nomadic bands of tits, goldcrests and other birds foraging for food in the bare branches. Many song thrushes have left too, but a few can often be heard tuning up with great variety and vivacity. When winter gales blow, the mistle thrush may revel in the wind. He's often known as the stormcock. Many robins leave the woodlands in autumn and winter, but some can be found singing their wistful notes in the canopy of the trees. One of the promises in early January of a spring that may still be far away is the gay chiming song of the great tit. Mainly from late January onwards, the blue tit sings a higher-pitched song. Coal tits also sing from January onwards, usually from conifers inside the broad-leaved woods. The song is sometimes superficially like that of a great tit, the repetition of a double note, but it's faster and less strident. Starling songs are regular in every month of the year, and their bill rattlings and shapeless medleys of sounds are common on still, warm January days. This one flies to a perch and then begins to sing. But beware of imitations. The starling can mimic many other birds as well as car brakes, cats and babies. This one is imitating a European golden oriole. The wren has a loud, dramatic song with high-pitched phrases and trills. Wrens too can sing in every month of the year, including January. Here's a wren duet, with a blue tit singing as well. February usually sees the arrival on the woodland scene of the finest of the thrush's songs. that of the blackbird, with its pure fluting notes and effortless delivery. This song, that of a northern bird, is joined later by one from a song thrush. Another sound that often arises in the February woodlands, sometimes even in January, is the cooing territorial song of the wood pigeon, often accompanied by sharp wing claps. Meanwhile, the woodland chorus is growing. Wood pigeon, mistle thrush, wren, and the brisk warbling of a hedge sparrow join together in this Kent chorus. The shy stock dove has a musical, not loud song that fits the woodland scene very well and is quite persistent from February to early July. Chaffinches often return to the woods in February and March and begin their cheerful, rollicking songs like this one in the New Forest. The harsh winter call of the marsh tit is followed by the liquid ringing song at its peak in February and March. The nuthatch and tree creeper are both birds that live by searching the trees, trunks and branches for food. The tree creeper's song, heard here with that of a blackbird, consists of from 3 to 5 thin single notes followed by a sibilant flourish. The nuthatch has a wide and often confusing vocabulary which he perfects in February. Here are some slow boyish whistles followed by faster ones. The long-eared owl prefers conifers, but where it's common, it can also be found in broad-leaved woods and copses. This is its late winter moaning song. At the beginning of March, we can still hear only our resident birds in song in the woodlands. It's still too early for the summer visitors. Now blackbirds, thrushes and robins dominate the woodland scene. The carrion crow has a deep hoarse caw that often punctuates the other bird sounds of March. Sometimes in February and March you can hear a strident motor horn note from the crow as well. Rooks may often breed in small copses and along the edges of woods, where their softer calls mingle with the songs of blackbird and thrush. The guardian of the woods is the jay, whose harsh alarm cries alert all the denizens of the forest to danger. The territorial song of the great spotted woodpecker is a mechanical drumming on a suitable sounding board. Drumming can take place in every month of the year, but it's at its peak in early spring. Herons often build their nest platforms of sticks in tall trees in woods, and these resound in March with the most extraordinary noises. Tree sparrows are calling as well. At dusk and dawn from early March onwards, the woodcock starts its slow owl-like display flight known as roding. It beats its way over or between the trees with a strange amphibian-like call. A fox gives a staccato bark. As March wears on, more and more finches can be heard in and around the open woodlands. From shrub layers and scrub, the bullfinch produces a sub-song of poor quality with low piping notes and creaky phrases. The greenfinch, which usually starts to sing in March, has canary-like twitters which he sings from a tree in a glade or in a remarkable bat-like display flight. The little redpole really likes conifer plantations, but it can be found too in broad-leaved woods of birch and willow. It has a metallic flight call and a high trilling song, often given in flight as well. The large but elusive hawfinch sings from spring to early June, a mixture of unmusical notes, liquid sounds, and various clicking calls. March usually sees the arrival from the south of the chiffchaff, the first of the summer visitors to return, especially in lowland England. From now on, the woodland chorus will grow in strength and variety. On warm, still March days, redwings often gather in the woods before their departure to Scandinavia. Here they indulge in a gay, twittering kind of sub-song, interspersed with louder, fuller song phrases. It's an hour before an April dawn in a Northamptonshire wood. Some roosting carrion crows leave noisily for the fields. Not long afterwards, the dawn chorus begins. It's a chorus still of resident birds, as the chiffchaffs haven't woken up yet. The willow tit has a rare song that I've heard sometimes in April. It's a slow series of loud, melancholy notes reminiscent of the piping sounds of the wood warbler. In the second week of April comes the main flood from the south of the willow warblers with their silvery liquid cadences. Slightly later than the willow warblers come the handsome male blackcaps. Their songs are pure rich warblings with clean musical intervals given from the cover of tree canopies and bushes. Towards the end of April, the garden warblers arrive back in the woods and copses. The song of the male is a sustained, clarinet-like warbling without the wavy form of the blackcap's delivery. This bird I recorded singing in the New Forest. Where the woods are open and the glades wide, you may come across the whitethroat, who sings his simple little ditty from a perch or in a dancing display flight. In oak and beech woods, dense copses and thorn brakes below 400 feet above sea level, and south of a line from Devon to South Yorkshire, you may find the nightingale. His song is rounded and remarkable in its quality. It can be heard from mid-April to June and quite regularly in the daytime. Singing also from mid-April is the gaily coloured redstart, another migrant from the south. Its song is a pleasant run of warbled notes with a rather weak ending. Where there are clearings in the forests and woods, the tree pivot may often be found. He starts to sing from the top of a special display flight and then parachutes down to a perch, singing all the time. The cuckoo also arrives in April and can still be heard calling in some woods, but this is less often than it used to be. With April at its full, the woodland choruses have grown into rich and delightful experiences. May reigns in hawthorn lands, and the lowland woods are full of birdsong. In a Suffolk copse, redstart, nightingale, willow warbler, wren, wood pigeon, pheasant, and green woodpecker vie with the domestic cock. Farther north, in an exposed coastal wood, a song thrush sings to the accompaniment of rooks and chiding wren. In the heronry, young birds are now being fed in the high nests, and the wood is full of raucous noise. In May, the wood warbler returns to some of the mature woods of oak and beech. In a New Forest beech glade, where rain is falling and redstarts singing, a male wood warbler sings his two types of song, a cadence of clear whistles and a high shivering trill. Blackbird, chaffinch, cuckoo and pheasant are joined often in May among the thorn bushes by the turtle dove, with his placid purring notes. A May visitor to some of the wilder, more westerly and northerly woods of oaks and birch is the pied flycatcher. This song is a repetition of a double note followed by a liquid arpeggio. This bird I recorded in an oak wood in a valley in Yorkshire. The woods are now busy with incubation and the care of the young. A long-tailed tit gives the alarm near its nest. In a hole in a thorn, a great tit on her nest hisses an explosive warning like that of a snake. By the middle of May, the sparrowhawk has laid her full clutch of eggs, and she flies off calling in alarm when an intruder goes too near to the nest. In the north of England, in mid-May, the kestrel begins her breeding season. The high chatter can be heard around the breeding place and outside the nesting season. The long-eared owls now have a brood, and the adult comes in to visit the 4-day-old nestlings. In 1967, the little serin bred in England for the first time. In Europe, it's a bird of sunny forest edges and groves. The song is a jingle of rushed, sibilant chitters and trills. June sees the turn in the woodland year, and the bird choruses begin slowly to fade away. In a glade in a Scottish wood, a chaffinch and a yellowhammer sing a duet. The dawn chorus now in the heronwood consists of cuckoo, robin and woodpigeon. Once in high summer, I listened to a rare stranger from the eastern half of Europe singing in a Northamptonshire wood. It was an icterine warbler, a bird that may often have been overlooked in Britain. Here are some of its typical notes. The very similar melodious warbler, with a more westerly European range, has a less vehement song. The red-backed shrike is now a rare annual summer visitor to parts of southern England. It favours commons, thornbrakes and woodland edges, where in June it may sing for long periods. Broad-leaved woods in western and northern Britain are often the home of a pair of buzzards. Their mewing cries can be heard high over the canopy of the tree in which they have their nest. The very rare honey buzzard is a summer visitor with an annual breeding population of from only 1 to 9 pairs. It's a more silent bird than the buzzard, but it has a characteristic call on the wing. The young kestrels have hatched, and now, in June, the hen feeds them on the nest. An adult starling flies into its hole to feed her young. June is a good month for young birds in the woodlands. Young jays demand to be fed. An adult great spotted woodpecker calls as it tries to satisfy its own clamorous young. June dusks are the time to listen for the sustained rising and falling trill of the scarce summer-visiting nightjar, a trill with as many as 1900 notes a minute in it. July is the month of dying music, and as the birds drop into silence, the hum and murmur of insects begin to take their place. In the woods, the wren is dominant, while a few wood pigeons still coo and jackdaws call. greenfinch with her free-flying brood gives the predator alarm as a fox or cat slips through the wood. That graceful and rare falcon, the hobby, is still breeding in July. If anyone walks through the wood, she may leave in high dudgeon. The woods may lose their songs, but many are noisy with the calls of adult and young jackdaws. The cry of a single young jackdaw is often the most familiar of July woodland sounds. Young birds are everywhere, querulously seeking food and attention. A fledgling blackcap calls for food against a background of insect sound. As dusk falls on a July evening, a young tawny owl that has left the nest sits and calls. But the young sparrowhawks are still in the nest. They call with a hunger that never seems to be satisfied. By August, the woodland bird sounds have fallen almost to nothing. Many birds have left the woods for the winter. Along the hedges and the woodland edge, the yellowhammer still sings on, and greenfinch and crow still call. The robin fell silent in July, but towards the end of August he begins to sing again with a new and melancholy autumn song. coming of September, some of the songbirds begin to perform spasmodically once more. Here, a great tit, singing in a new forest glade in early October, sets off another one not far away. Migrant willow warblers and chiffchaffs will sing occasionally in the autumn. The linnet can be heard in every month of the year, but in the autumn his pleasant twittering often is better appreciated. Along the woodland rides and verges, the magpie sits on some tall tree and rattles away. When the elderberries begin to ripen, the starlings come into the woodlands to feed and gorge themselves. Nomadic parties of small birds wander from tree to tree in the woods, assiduously looking for food. Sometimes they come across a sleeping tawny owl and mob it unmercifully. In October, the tawny owls often hold territories, which they proclaim with their hoots. These two are listening to each other. In the more open woodlands, it may be possible to hear the eerie sound of a barn owl that's been roosting in a thorn or other bush. As the woodland year draws to its close, the woods in the daytime are pretty empty of birds. The leaf fall is over, and the boughs and branches stand stark and gaunt against the sky. Small parties of birds drift through in daytime, and it's in the evening that the woods often become noisy with birds. Starlings gather in an oak tree in the wood before leaving to roost in a conifer plantation several miles away. the light goes, a pheasant flies up into its roosting tree, and a few blackbirds scold irritably. The pheasant falls silent, but the blackbirds go on micking and scolding until it's almost dark. If there are evergreen shrubs in the wood, redwings may come in from the fields and hedgerows to join the blackbirds for the night. They add their chitooks to the sharper notes of the blackbirds. Many of the taller trees in a wood provide a safe roost at night for wood pigeons, rooks and jackdaws that fly in from the countryside around. On cold December mornings, the rooks and jackdaws stream out from their roost in long, noisy lines. And if December should bring a warm day, then a blackbird may try a bit of sub-song, hedge sparrows, wrens and starlings some more serious song-making, while the mistle thrush sends out his clarion notes from a tall elm. On certain days from October onwards through to December, a song thrush may tune up, and so the woodland bird songs have come full circle.